This is your foundation. How to successfully grow your wedding business. Weddings Made Simple.
Color grading is one of those topics that many editors take very seriously and personally, and as such, it's often hard for them to take constructive feedback. And often you'll probably hear them cite the phrase, color is subjective. Well, is color really subjective? Well, perhaps it was for Picasso, but what about us? We're going to start off this module talking about some basic standards of wedding film color grading, keeping in mind, as always, our key principles. Understand the genre, engage emotion, and serve the couple. So, what is the wedding film genre? If you remember, it's heightened reality. So, what does that mean for color? Let's talk for a moment about color grading versus color correction. Color grading. We all love Hollywood movies, right? Those highly stylized, interpretive looks that help to amplify an emotion for drama's sake. It's great for fiction. For example, think of that green tint from the Matrix films, or that high contrast sepia tone for 300, or that classic yellow look from Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? On the other hand, though, color correction is just fixing color balance and making sure you have correct exposure. There are no major tonal curve adjustments. This is good for broadcast, live news, and journalism. Now, we want to do a little bit of both. We want to slightly push it because we want to grade, remember, the heightened side, but then in the context of proper exposure, natural skin tones, and neutral black and white points. Remember, reality. As you're grading, use your skin tones and your white and black points as your anchors. We'll be reviewing this in an upcoming video when we talk about video scopes, so hang with us. When it comes to talking about how we can do our grading stylizations, often the fastest way to do that, and often one of the best ways to do that, is using a LUT. What is a LUT? LUT stands for lookup table. Essentially, it's a file that reads your image data and then translates the color info into different color info. Think Instagram filters. Now, there are a billion LUT packs on the internet, and while most of them are cheap and just contribute to lazy color grading, they're not all bad. In fact, I recommend LUTs that are called FPE LUTs. FPE means film print emulation. Essentially, these are LUTs that mimic the look of real film stocks. They treat the tonal curves, the color hues, and everything to match the film look. These are the best LUTs because, after all, the film look is that worldview glass by which we assess all other looks and LUTs anyway. We'll get into how to properly apply LUTs into your workflow in a later video. Now, here's a note. Don't overuse or over-rely on LUTs. They're only a small part of the color process. On that note, a few practical tips as we get started. Number one, focus on or grade around the bride and then the groom. Make sure that they always look great. They're the hero and the heroine of your wedding film. Remember, serve the couple. Number two, use a hero frame. The reason why picking a hero frame before you start color grading is very important. Let me show you here real fast. So what you want to do is make sure to find the perfect still of your shot before you color grade it. So for example, where you can see the skin tones really well, where you can see the main focus of the shot. So for example, we'll go in there, we'll add some color there, and we know we can't go too dark or else we're going to lose some of the detail in his eyes, which we wouldn't have known if we had started here. Or for example, this one here, it's a similar situation. You want to make sure to pick your hero frame. I've already added the markers here where you would want to do that. This one would be quite difficult. We don't really see her face just yet, and we have some confetti kind of blocking it out, but that would be a great still to work from. You can see the environment, it's great lighting. You can see their faces. Remember, they're the hero and the heroine, so we want them to look good. So from that still, you're going to know that the rest of your shot will look great. Another great context for why you need to pick a hero frame is because, especially for shots like this where you have two different lighting situations, you have the one indoors where you can see, let's pop open the waveform here. It's very, very warm, and you'd be tempted to pull this down and just kind of correct for that, maybe even make something more extreme. And that would be, much more corrected. You can look at the scope here. However, if you did that, once we pull out here, oh my gosh, we are in Iceland or something like that. So that's why you need to assess your shot and make sure you have the best hero frame. So in this case, in the grand exit, this part right here within the inside of the building is not important. So we need to find that moment that is the most important. That is your hero frame. So if we actually do our color correction and our color balance to this shot here, where we have kind of a more balanced white point, that's great. So that's your hero frame. However, if this makes your inside just a little bit too punchy and just draws you out of the story for that brief moment, you can do a couple things. You could either just remove it entirely, or if you wanted to get creative and you have time, you could either add a keyframe using the temperature slider here, and then so pull it down to like -3000 here, and then later on you can, as soon as they exit, that's where you pull it back up to 400. Or what you could do is add an adjustment layer, make a cut right around here, correct for this color balance here, correct for this color balance here, and then just add a fade transition between it. Number 3, make sure to assess your lighting situation first before you attack. Was it a cloudy or an overcast day where you're going to have really good lighting? Well, you'll probably aim for a more balanced image with brighter skin tones around the 50 to 75 IRE mark, or the 50 to 75% brightness on your scopes. And then probably your darker skin tones will look natural as well, between 30 and 50 IRE. Was it a sunny or a harsh day? Well, you can expect blown out highlights that you won't be able to recover. And that's fine, because that's how it was shot. Were there party lights going on? Well, expect highly saturated dark images, so don't try to force the exposure to be proper or to have the proper outdoor white balance. Was it mixed lighting? God forbid, but trust me, it happens quite a lot in weddings. So just do what you can to capture the right balance, use whatever tools you have to get rid of any extra junk, and then just move on. Don't waste time on poorly shot clips. Make sure to give the most attention and love to those few pivotal clips in your film. Once you master these principles and apply them in your workflow, you'll start to see much better results in your own work, and you'll even be able to spot poor work in others' films, or even in your old projects, stuff that you might have defended with the color is subjective quip. But if you start working like this, you'll grow as a colorist and an editor, and it will only get more fun. Join me in the next video where we'll get into understanding digital images.